Midnight last night on Redding and Seymour and Roselawn. The officer was not taken to the hospital. The cruiser had some minor damage to the rear. Police are still investigating how that crash happened. He's staying put. UC head football coach Luke Fickell isn't going anywhere. WCPO 9 sports anchor Reggie Wilson has reaction from the man himself. Reggie?
Craig, Luke Fickell made Bearcats fans and even some players sweat it out, but after mulling over Michigan State's advances, he ultimately decided to stay in Clifton. Fickell interviewed with the Spartans athletic director Sunday and this morning tweeted out his commitment to stay at UC, where he's building momentum. Back-to-back 11-win seasons, 2 straight bowl wins, and the highest-ranked recruiting class in school history for 2020. That would be a lot to walk away from, even though Michigan State was reportedly prepared to offer Fickell between $5 and $6 million a year. That's more than double what he makes now. But Coach Fickell says his decision came down to family, and he did what's best for everybody.
What I love about it is it shows the excitement that we've got in the program. I think it shows excitement that we've got in the community. You know, and when they're mad, I hope they're mad too. That why'd you put us through this? Well, that means they care.
Now we wait to see if UC will reward Coach Fickell with the contract extension. Coming up at 6, I've got more on Fickell and why UC color analyst Jim Kelly is excited to have Coach Fickell back.
We'll look forward to that. Thank you, Reggie. A northern Kentucky native finished a 625-mile hike down the coast of California. John Preston is raising awareness for veterans and first responders. He went 22 miles each day with 22 kilos on his back. That signifies the 22 veterans who die by suicide every day. Preston struggled with PTSD after serving in Iraq. He told people after finishing the hike that the only thing we can do when something's chasing us is to move forward. His journey is going to be the subject of a documentary.
Way to go, John. Can't wait to see the documentary as well. All right, a place to call home. A 78-year-old woman gets her own apartment after a year of struggle.
WCPO 9 News was there when she got the keys. Next at 5, what this day means to her.
It was a no-brainer. It really was. It saved me overall thousands.
All right, imagine saving hundreds of dollars a month on your house payment. How homeowners all over Ohio are doing it. Coming up. Steve, another great day.
Yeah, and we've got some active weather coming up. We've got to talk about a wintry mix, an exceptionally cold few days, and interesting things going on at the Ohio River. I'll show it all to you next.
After being removed from her home months ago, a local woman who found herself homeless now has a new place to call her own. Mary Loudon was evicted back in October after a series of medical bills for a knee replacement caused her to miss her rent payments. Maslow's Army then stepped in to help, put her up in a local hotel as well, and then found her a new place in Burlington, Kentucky. We asked Mary what this day means to her.
Means a lot. Me and my doggy gets an apartment.
Well, today, volunteers helped move all of Mary's stuff from her room that is over in the Holiday Inn to her new apartment.
An historic church in Lebanon that was badly damaged in a fire is getting a new home. We have video for you from when the Bethel AME Church burned in December of 2017. It was 156 years old. Initially, church officials were planning to reopen here, but decided to look for a new location with hopes of achieving urban renewal. The church will now be part of the Pleasant Square development proposal on Cherry Street. And we are still waiting to learn what sparked a fire in Evanston this morning. It took crews a couple of hours to put out the fire on Newton Street. They say the effort was complicated because there was so much stuff inside the house. The 3 adults who were inside got out safely.
Well, imagine having a couple extra $100 in your pocket every month. Some people are doing that by refinancing at the current mortgage rate of 3.55%. A Cleveland-based mortgage lending company said that home refinance applications have more than doubled since last January, making 2020 the strongest start to a year in the last 5 to 7 years. Tom Sasura refinanced in December, about 2 years after buying his condo. He said rates were great when he bought the condo, but looking at his savings over time, he said it made sense to refinance.
It was a no-brainer. It really was. It saved me overall thousands. It was almost a full point lower than my original loan. So it really behooved me to make that move.
The data analytics firm Black Knight estimates the average homeowner can save about $270 per month on a 30-year-old fixed loan. Cincinnati Metro is offering free bus rides this week. It's all part of Ohio Loves Transit Week. Metro is joining with other transit systems across the state to thank riders for their support. It also wants to encourage people to give Metro a try. If you download the Easy Fare app starting today, you will automatically receive a free ticket. Anyone who already has the app will also get a free ticket.
Newborns in the United States don't weigh what they used to. Research published last month from the University of Colorado at Boulder shows the average birth weight of babies from 1990 to 2013 actually went down more than 2 ounces. Researchers attributed the drop in birth weight to shorter pregnancies due to more women scheduling to be induced or to have C-sections. The percentage of births by C-section grew from 25% in 1990 to 31% in 2013, and the number of induced labors grew from 12% to 29%. An over-the-Rhine cold shelter is asking for the community's help so it can continue to serve Cincinnati's homeless population. Prince of Peace Lutheran Church has run a cold shelter for 8 years and says when it opened this December, it only had about half the money needed to get through the season. That money is gone now, but the need remains. Prince of Peace says it is over capacity about 70% of the time, which forces it to help the homeless find another place to get out of the cold.
The reason is there's a large number of homeless in this community, and we can't just desert them, especially in the winter months.
The shelter needs about $15,000 to pay for the remaining weeks this season. We have a link to the church's website in this story on WCPO.com.
Kind of perfect timing here. Chief Meteorologist Steve Raleigh joining us now with a look at your forecast. And when those temperatures start dipping down, that is a concern. And
yeah, and the problem is we're going to go through one of those periods. Thankfully, it's not going to be a long one, but we are going to see that exceptionally cold air this week. So let's start there, and it does dovetail into our last story. So the story in our 9 first warning weather is that very cold Arctic air, Canadian air really, starting to flow into the country, and it's going to end up over the top of us as we head to Thursday night, and Friday. And I know that's a little down the line, but what's important to the story is that cold air will be filtering in midweek, and it's going to also give us a chance for some wintry mix both for Wednesday morning and on Thursday. And then Thursday night into Friday, it's going to get really cold down into the teens in the overnight period. So it's going to be one of those 36 hours that if you're prone to any pipes or anything along those lines, you want to let a little water run, that kind of thing showing up. Let's get you there tonight. There's some misty drizzle, there's some patchy fog around, but generally it's just clouds. And that's the way it's going to stay as we head into our Tuesday as well. Now I do think because we're going to get a little nudge of high pressure, we'll probably get a few peaks of sun tomorrow. Not going to be a lot, but it is enough to maybe get us into the lower 40s coming up tomorrow. But here we go with that wintry mix as soon as we get to Wednesday. And the line of it is going to be very close to some of our northern neighbors, especially in the counties like Clinton County and Warren and also Butler and then Franklin, Fayette, and Union and southeast Indiana. So Wednesday morning is going to be important. Then we're going to see a surge of heavy rain show up as we get into later on Wednesday. And that's important, as I'll show you in a second. Then behind that will be that exceptionally cold air, and that gets us into another problem with some wintry mix on Thursday. And as I say, the temperatures are really going to bottom out. But as we get to Friday, it looks like more clouds than anything else. And then the weekend at present looks like it's going to be split. So it's a pretty active week ahead for us with the quiet weather tomorrow. But then again, to reiterate, Wednesday and Thursday with that wintry mix. I mentioned the heavy rain. Well, here's a little update for you folks who live by or work near the Ohio River. As we look at it right now, our folks at the River Forecast Center have a pretty steady inclining line as we go right up to about flood stage, it looks like by Saturday. And it's because of that very heavy rain a little bit later this week. Now, this may end up changing depending on where that second system heads and anything else, but at the moment, it does look like we're at the possibility of a flood stage toward Saturday. So a little 9 first warning. You can can catch all the information as you see on my Twitter feed right there. Outside at the moment, we've got 40 degrees in Cincinnati. It's 35, 37, 38 in Middletown, 39 in Wilmington. But look at West Union and Maysville, 10 degrees warmer. We've had a warm surge from last night, and in some areas, it's still around that boundary layer of colder air, not reaching there down to the south, so it's been a little warmer down that way. As for greater Cincinnati, we're going to stay with the fog for tonight, and you'll see a slow cascade into the middle 30s or so by later tonight. Our little slice of the globe shows how temperatures will be falling into the lower to middle 30s overnight. Tomorrow we'll make it to the lower 40s, and we'll continue with the mostly cloudy sky. So here is the forecast as I see it. 32 tonight and clouds, mist, a little fog. Then tomorrow we'll call it mostly cloudy. As I say, we may get a few hits of sunshine. And your 7-day forecast then. You'll notice that we've got the chances for wintry mix. We see some sunshine Friday, but that's not necessarily a good thing. The clearing will allow the temperature to bottom to 13, only recover to 27 and then 17. Then we see the temperatures, and I'm pushing my forecast into the upper 40s by Sunday. It looks like it's going to be wet as we finish out the weekend into next week, guys.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Well, it's a label that comes with the strictest warning.
Yeah, at 5:30, why the FDA is proposing all breast implants contain a black box warning, and why doctors say context is important.
I wasn't comfortable buying clothes for myself when I was first starting out.
Clothes shopping for a transgender teen can be scary, but a group in Ohio is working to make it a little easier. Next at 5, how it's helping people find their style.
When our wardrobe needs some updating, most of us don't give much thought about going to the store. But for members of the transgender community, picking out clothing and going into a dressing room can be a scary experience. Lack of proper attire to align with gender identity is a recurring issue one members of Margie's Hope kept hearing about. That's why they created a unique closet in Northeast Ohio that allows people who are transgender to find their style in a judgment-free zone.
They not only feel like they can try on whatever they want, but they feel like they're amongst family.
Now that they're able to be themselves, they're flourishing.
In addition to finding those perfect pieces, there is also a service to offer haircuts and cosmetics. Here at home, we have Transform Cincy, which provides clothes to help transgender teens find a wardrobe. You might recall we did a story on this organization just last month. Each client fills out a form by answering a few questions. A stylist then has a stack of clothing waiting for them to choose from. The clothes are donated and the services are free. Transform Cincy is by appointment only.
The family of an Ohio cheerleader who fell critically ill during her homecoming dance is preparing for her to come home. 16-year-old Emma Fouts was at the dance last October when she started struggling to breathe. A police officer watched as Emma walked to her car to grab her inhaler, but she never made it back inside. Emma was placed in a medically induced coma. Her family says she's in physical therapy and is communicating with her family and the doctors. And now they are in the process of figuring out how to make their home more accessible for Emma, including adding a wheelchair accessible bathroom for her.
Well, social media can be a lot of things, usually not good, but every now and then it can get you results. Ahead at this hour, how to use Facebook and Twitter to get a company to fix a problem rather than spending hours getting nowhere.
The author of this book says drug addiction recovery isn't easy, but necessary to get your life back. We sit down with him next.
This is WCPO 9 News.
Experts will tell you that when someone falls into drug addiction, the pain impacts more than just the person using.
Yeah, in fact, the man you are about to meet here is a substance abuse counselor with a story of how drug addiction and a Kentucky state law changed his life.
Here's WCPO 9 News reporter Whitney Miller.
If he's not boxing, he's pushing something heavy.
I really started focusing on my physical health.
Matt Peterson says it was in the gym that he learned how to push past his demons.
I had zero self-esteem and zero confidence in myself at all.
Peterson had a drug addiction problem that started when he was 11 years old. He got hit by a van and a doctor prescribed Vicodin for the pain.
I enjoyed the way they made me feel, even that young. I just didn't know anything about what they were really.
He said that progressed in the years to come and turned him into something he'd never thought he'd be.
I no longer cared at all about my image or being labeled as a junkie or being dirty or anything like that. It was over.
Matt says it was a number of things that fueled his decision to change his life. He says one of the biggest was a Kentucky state law called Casey's Law.
That enabled my parents to have me court ordered into treatment.
He went to rehab, but he relapsed, and he even found himself in jail. He says that's where he decided to apply what he learned to his life.
I really started to focus on where I was going to take my life, Up until that point, I was fully prepared to die.
Instead of dying, he wrote a book about his journey.
I mean, just being able to watch some of these guys, come in here completely broken and then them a couple years later tell me that they're
doing better. In Fairfield, Whitney Miller, WCPO 9 News.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Matt Peterson now works as a substance abuse counselor at Brightview Health in Fairfield.